Greetings, explorers. First off, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more enlightening videos like this. Today we delve into a topic that's not just vital, it's existential. We're talking about climate change. A global crisis that affects every corner of our planet and every facet of our lives. From the deepest oceans to the highest peaks, from the North Pole to the South, climate change is leaving its mark. This isn't just about warmer summers or colder winters, it's about raging wildfires, rising sea levels, devastating droughts, and severe storms. It's about our homes, our food, our health, and our survival. It's a crisis that transcends borders, cultures, and generations. It's urgent, it's real, and it's high time we understood it, addressed it, and ultimately reversed it. This is the fight for our planet, a fight for our future. So, what exactly is climate change, and how did we get here? Climate change is like a fever for our planet. Just as your body's temperature is crucial for your health, the Earth's average temperature is crucial for life as we know it. But just as your body can become dangerously hot when fighting an infection, our planet is getting hotter, and it's becoming a serious problem. So how does this work? It all boils down to something called the greenhouse effect. Think of our atmosphere as a blanket around the Earth. This blanket traps some of the sun's heat, keeping our planet warm enough to support life. This is a good thing. But just like too much of a good thing can be bad, too much heat is causing problems. Now let's talk about greenhouse gases. These are gases in our atmosphere that trap heat, thickening the Earth's blanket. The more greenhouse gases we have, the thicker the blanket becomes, and the more heat gets trapped. The main culprits are carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, which are released into the atmosphere primarily from human activities. That's where we come in. For over a century we've been burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas for energy. This burning process releases vast amounts of carbon dioxide, thickening our atmospheric blanket. We've also been cutting down forests, which are nature's way of absorbing carbon dioxide, making the problem worse. The result? The Earth's average temperature has risen by more than 1 degree Celsius since the late 19th century. And while that might not sound like much, remember that we're talking about a global average. Even a small increase can have big impacts on our planet's climate system. And what about the future? Well, if we continue on our current path, scientists predict the Earth could warm by another 3 to 4 degrees by the end of the century. This could lead to catastrophic changes, including more extreme weather, rising sea levels, and devastating impacts on wildlife and ecosystems. The evidence is clear. The Earth is warming and human activities are largely to blame. Climate change isn't just about melting ice caps and hotter summers, it's about people and communities. Imagine waking up one day to find your home, the place where you've built your life, threatened by rising seas. This isn't a dystopian future. For many island communities, this is the harsh reality of climate change. Take the people of Kiribati, a small island nation in the Pacific. They're already experiencing the direct impacts of climate change, with their homes and livelihoods under threat as sea levels continue to rise. Their story is not unique. All around the globe, from the coastal villages of Bangladesh to the Inuit communities in the Arctic, people are grappling with the reality of a changing climate. But it's not just about rising seas. In areas such as the Sahel region of Africa, increasingly erratic rainfall patterns are leading to longer and more severe droughts. This is drastically affecting the lives of farmers and pastoralists who rely on regular rain for their crops and livestock. Climate change for them is not a matter of inconvenience, it's a matter of survival. Then there are the extreme weather events. We've all seen the headlines of record-breaking heat waves, devastating hurricanes, and catastrophic wildfires. But behind each headline, there are people. People who have lost their homes, their livelihoods, and in some cases, their loved ones. Yet, in the face of these daunting challenges, there's resilience. There are communities coming together, adapting and fighting for their future. There are stories of hope and determination, like the Samoan villagers replanting their mangroves to protect against storm surges, or the Kenyan farmers adopting new, drought-resistant crops. These are the human faces of climate change. They're not just statistics or distant realities, they're our fellow humans, living with the impacts of a changing climate every day. Their stories remind us that climate change isn't just a scientific or political issue, it's a human issue. Climate change is a reality that many are already living with. Scene script. Climate change isn't just an environmental issue, it's a matter of justice. As we delve deeper into our exploration of the climate crisis, we must acknowledge the harsh reality that not all are impacted equally. This crisis, largely driven by the actions of the world's most affluent nations, has a disproportionate impact on marginalized and vulnerable communities. Think of it as an unequal burden. The global south, home to some of the world's poorest countries, bears the brunt of the damage. From rising sea levels swallowing up coastal communities, to extreme weather events that disrupt livelihoods and exacerbate food and water scarcity, the most severe consequences are felt by those who contributed the least to the problem. But it's not just a global north-south divide. Even within nations, racial and socio-economic disparities are glaring. In urban areas, for instance, the poor and people of color often live in neighborhoods with higher pollution levels, less green space, and inadequate infrastructure to cope with extreme weather. These communities face a double jeopardy. They are more exposed to environmental risks and have fewer resources to adapt or recover from them. This is where the concepts of environmentalism and social justice intersect. It's about more than just reducing emissions or preserving ecosystems. It's about addressing systemic inequalities that make certain groups more vulnerable to climate impacts. It's about ensuring that the transition to a sustainable future is just and equitable, that it doesn't leave anyone behind. The term for this is climate justice. It recognizes that while climate change is a global problem, its impacts are local, personal, and often inequitable. It demands that those who have contributed the most to the crisis bear the greatest responsibility in addressing it. It calls for solutions that not only mitigate climate change, but also tackle social and economic injustices. Climate justice is about ensuring a fair response to a crisis that affects us all, but impacts some more than others. This is a fight not just for our planet, but for justice, for equality, for a world where every life is valued and every voice is heard. Because in the end, a sustainable future must be a fair future. While the problem is global, the solutions are both global and local. On the global stage, countries are recognizing the urgent need to address climate change. The Paris Agreement, for example, is a landmark international treaty that brings nations together to combat this crisis. Its primary aim is to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, a target that requires substantial reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. But it's not just about big international treaties. Local initiatives are also playing a crucial role in combating climate change. Across the globe, cities, towns, and villages are implementing innovative solutions to reduce their carbon footprint. From solar-powered public transportation in Adelaide, Australia to the world's largest offshore wind farm in the United Kingdom, these local efforts are making a significant impact. In addition to these initiatives, grassroots movements are springing up around the world, demanding climate action from their leaders. They are pushing for policies that prioritize renewable energy, advocate for climate education, and promote sustainable practices. These movements are driven by individuals who understand that change begins at home, in our communities, and in our everyday choices. Moreover, indigenous communities, who have been stewards of the earth for thousands of years, are leading the way in sustainable living and conservation. Their traditional knowledge and practices offer valuable insights into how we can live in harmony with nature. Innovation is also key in our fight against climate change. Entrepreneurs and scientists are developing cutting-edge technologies to help us transition to a low-carbon future. From carbon capture and storage techniques to advancements in renewable energy, these innovations are paving the way for a sustainable future. It's clear that the fight against climate change is being waged on multiple fronts. It's a fight that requires the collective effort of nations, local communities, and individuals alike. It's a fight that demands innovation, commitment, and the courage to make significant changes. From international agreements to local initiatives, there are solutions in motion. Now it's up to us to ensure these solutions become the norm, not the exception. So what can we do about it, you might ask? Well, there's plenty we can do, and it starts with the simple choices we make every day. Think about your daily routine. The energy you use, the food you eat, the way you travel, and even the clothes you wear. All these have an impact on our environment. By making mindful choices, we can reduce our carbon footprint and contribute to a healthier planet. Let's start with energy. By switching to renewable energy sources like solar or wind power, we can reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. Many utility companies offer green energy options, and if yours doesn't, why not ask them to? Next, consider your diet. The meat and dairy industry accounts for a significant portion of global greenhouse gas emissions. By reducing our consumption of animal products or choosing locally sourced foods, we can help cut down on these emissions. Then there's transportation. Can you bike or walk instead of driving? Can you carpool or use public transportation? If you must drive, could you switch to an electric or hybrid vehicle? Every mile not driven by a gas-powered vehicle makes a difference. And let's not forget about waste. By reducing, reusing, and recycling, we can significantly cut down on the amount of trash that ends up in landfills and the ocean. But it's not just about individual action. Communities have a crucial role to play too. Organize a neighborhood cleanup, start a community garden, or lobby your local government for climate-friendly policies. And remember, it's not just about what we can stop doing, but also about what we can start doing. Plant a tree, create a backyard habitat for wildlife, or install a rain barrel to conserve water. The fight against climate change is a collective one. It's about making choices that are not just good for us, but also good for our planet. And here's the thing. These changes don't just benefit the environment. They can also save us money, improve our health, and build stronger communities. So, let's get started. Let's make our daily choices count, because every action, no matter how small, can contribute to a larger change. The fight for our planet is a fight for our future. The urgency of this crisis cannot be overstated. We are in a race against time, a race we cannot afford to lose. The climate crisis is a monumental challenge, but it is also an unprecedented opportunity. An opportunity for innovation, for resilience, for solidarity, for a future that is not only sustainable, but just. This is not a fight we can win alone. It's a collective struggle, one that requires each of us to do our part. It's about changing our habits, yes, but it's also about raising our voices. It's about demanding action from our leaders and holding them accountable. It's about standing in solidarity with those on the front lines of this crisis, the communities most vulnerable to its impacts. There are countless ways to get involved. Educate yourself about the science of climate change and the strategies for mitigating it. Join a local environmental organization. Lobby your representatives for stronger climate policies. Reduce, reuse, recycle, yes, but also rethink. Rethink how we live, how we work, how we interact with the natural world. And remember, every action counts. Each conversation you have, each choice you make, each step you take towards a more sustainable lifestyle, it all adds up. It's a ripple effect, one that can, over time, turn the tide of this crisis. So let's rise to this challenge together. Let's envision a future that is not just about surviving, but thriving. A future where our children and grandchildren can live in harmony with the natural world, not in fear of it. This is a call to you, to me, to all of us. It's time for action. Join the movement for climate justice now. Together, we can make a difference.